Hi, my name is Ann, and this video is made about a vision that I saw when I was a teenager. I do not remember the specific year because back then when I was having my visions, I did not write them down. I learned later to keep journals on everything I saw, my prophetic visions and my prophetic dreams. I saw all of God's children, those who were chosen by God and upheld God's word in the end time. We were arrested and placed in large holding cells. The soldiers came and took each of us Christians, the ones who did not worship the Antichrist, the false god. We were taken by force, chained up, and walked to a large group of buildings. They were elaborate. I saw each of us. There were only a few compared to those who worshipped the beast, the Antichrist, the fallen god, Satan. We walked through a large crowd of people that hated us. They were scratching and biting at us and trying to get to us, to kill us. The guards did not protect us much, but did make sure to get each Christian, the true followers of God. The guards would not protect us, but they wanted to make sure that they got us to the building because Satan wanted us to come before him, each individual. Okay? The guards, let me see, where was I? I had to write this down so I can keep my thoughts in order. There was a huge building in the center of all these buildings. It looked, at the time when I was in high school, the only thing that I had to compare it to, all the buildings, the way they were laid out, was imagine, universities where you have multiple, hundreds to thousands of buildings. There were so many buildings I couldn't count them all. They were gigantic buildings, and they were all laid out in an unusual way. It looked like a campus of some sort. And each building was huge, and each building was elaborately made. I'm talking gold and just all kinds of beautiful things, marble, everything beautiful that we have in this world to make buildings with. That's what I saw. Okay? And there was a statue on the outside of this center building, a huge statue that was made for the Antichrist himself. And they brought the Christians, we were handcuffed, and we had ankle cuffs, and we were brought in to this gigantic building in the center. And you could tell everyone hated us. Everyone hated us. And it seemed like, in my vision, that there were more that hated us than there were more that loved us. There were very few of us Christians that were left, that were real, true followers of God. Everybody else around us were not real followers of God. They followed the Antichrist, the false god, Satan, the devil, Lucifer, Maitreya. That's who it was. I will explain to you more in just a minute. It was him. I saw him. Multiple times I've seen that thing in my visions and dreams, and now that I see him walking around and trying to do commercials and stuff, I didn't see him when I was a kid on TV. I've just started seeing this thing in person again this past year. It's him. We got into the center of the big building. And outside of the building, I saw clouds of demons flying around. They were flying around. And there was a sky. The sky looked like it was blood red, okay? It was like a red cloud, an evil cloud that was all over the place. The whole place was covered with it. And if it wasn't for the evil cloud, you'd think that everything was normal because there were trees and grass and flowers, and it all looked beautiful and green. But the cloud was covered in these demons. It was the sky was covered in them. And the demons would be on people's shoulders, and they would be on people's backs. They would attach themselves by their teeth. They could bite you like a snake. And they would bite you like a snake. They had teeth like snakes. And they would bite onto you. And when they'd bite onto you, you would be possessed by that demon. And each demon had its name written across its forehead. Each demon had a specific job that it was in control of. that it had to do, that it had to fulfill. That is the sin that demon is. Each demon was a sin that all of us people, all of us humans do in our lifetimes. Each demon was that sin. They represented that sin. And there were minions of demons that were representing the biggest of sins. And I'll explain to you in a minute about them and about their commanders and how that all ties together. They all work together as a group. It's like it's almost kind of like, you know, those pyramid schemes, those job pyramid schemes where the one on top is in control and then we have our commanders next and then we have, you know, we keep going down. That's the way the demonic tree, family tree really was. It's a family tree of demons. They were being controlled by these demons, but they did not know it. And when I walked into the building, the center of the building, it was a huge building. And there were billions of people. It was bigger than any coliseum that we've made yet, that mankind has made. It's the biggest building. I don't think there's ever been any building that I've seen recently that we have built as of yet. There's not one building that's large enough to compare to the one I saw in my vision. And the song that I could hear when I was in this room still to this day kind of bothers me because it didn't make sense at the time. It sounded like Smells Like Teen Spirit by Nirvana. Believe it or not, Nirvana's song, Smells Like Teen Spirit, sounded like the song that I heard whenever I was in that building. And the funny thing was, Smells Like Teen Spirit by Nirvana, that was the song that I heard in the building, in that vision. And the weird thing was, at the time, this is just a side note, just so you know, at the time, Nirvana had not written that song yet. It was not out on TV. There was no record of it. It was not on the radio. It wasn't around as of yet. So after that occurred, after this vision, I'm going to finish the vision, but let me just tell you a side note. After all of this happened in my vision and I heard that song, months later was when I heard the Smells Like Teen Spirit song. I saw it on MTV and I freaked because it was the exact song that I had heard in my vision that I saw. That's the song. I felt like God wanted to use him in a mighty and great way and that he was being pushed down demonically. I felt like he was musically talented more than we've got to see. I just felt that I had to pray for the guy. Anyway, as well as for the rest of his band. I saw everyone, people of all ethnics, all walks of life, all ages. They had demons on them, on their shoulders, their backs, flying around the room, over their heads. The demons would attach to your head, to your brain almost. They could not see the demons surrounding them. The demons would vomit on them, spew this horrible, toxic-looking crap on people, and they would bite them like a snake. And they could not see the demons, and it caused the person to get really angry and violent. The moment that it hits you, you have this anger and this violence. But especially, it depends on the name of the demon that's on their head, depends on their name as to how you react, how much you react. Each person had at least 3 demons on them at one time, at all times. The demons were ugly. They looked like the aliens that people have seen in this world. The aliens that people keep seeing, they looked like that. But they were big, they were small, they were all different shapes. Some of them, the small ones, were probably as big as... They were almost the size of a toddler. They were the size of a toddler, of a child that's 3 years old, 4 years old, that size. And those were the weaker of the demons. Those were the pathetic ones that really, they weren't latched onto anyone yet. If they're not latched onto you, then they're very small and weak.